How's it going? And good morning, everybody. Thank you to everyone who has joined in so far. We are going to give it just a couple more minutes just to give some more people time to join on in. That being said, just a couple more minutes and we can dive on into it. Thank you all for your patience. Alrighty, everybody. Well, we can go ahead and get started. Don't want to wait too long as I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Today is going to be a productivity in teams training. I'm super excited to jump on into it. Once again, good morning, everybody who is joining in with us today. Before I dive too deep into it, I want to go ahead and introduce your trainers for today. So myself, my name is Ian Neely. I'm a Microsoft trainer based out of Orange County, California. With everything going on, we have been working from home and utilizing Microsoft Teams and all of its great tools to do so. And so I'm really excited to jump on into it and showcase to all of you some of those amazing features. Joining me today, and one of the people that I collaborate with within Teams the most, joining me is Allie. Allie, would you like to introduce yourself a bit?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Allie Heller, and I'm an Microsoft trainer with our Orange County training team. Like Ian mentioned, he and I have been collaborating a ton on Microsoft Teams. So we're so excited that you're able to join us today, and we can go over some of our favorite features and how we stay productive. Feel free to drop any questions in the Q&A. That's what I'm here for, and I'll be answering them throughout the session.
Perfect. Thank you, Allie. And actually, speaking of that Q&A that she was mentioning, this is going to be a quick look at what your guys' view is going to look like. So on the right-hand side, we do have that dedicated Q&A section, just in case you wanted to ask your own question. We have moderators on our side that can answer them either directly to you or publish the question in the publish section, and you guys as the viewers can vote on the questions you like or want to get answered the most. Otherwise, near the bottom, we have the time bar, in which case if you want to adjust a different section of the training, maybe to review something we said, or in case you got lost and you want to go back to live, we do have that live button right there as well. Going over our agenda for today, we are going to start off with an introduction into what is Teams and maybe look at some of the basic navigation and functionality, just to kind of get an idea of the lay of the land and comfortable before we dive into all the meats and potatoes, if you will. From there, we're going to go over chats and channels and talk about the differences between the two, why you might utilize one over the other. And then we're going to jump into starting and creating a project team. What it might look like and what the structure and flow of it all might look like as well. From there, we're going to go into meetings and collaboration, how you might actually work with your colleagues throughout the application and how you're going to share that information. We're going to leave it off with some final thoughts, maybe some tips and tricks, as well as that Q&A. And just like I mentioned, and just like Allie mentioned as well, as we go through the training, we will be taking a couple stops here and there just to make sure that we can answer some of those pertinent questions pertaining to whatever section of the training we're actually in. That being said, we can go ahead and from here, get started and jump on into the training itself. Alrighty, everyone. So the first thing I want to showcase is, as you can see here, we do have Microsoft Teams opened up and ready, and we're actually utilizing this within the web browser. Now, this is to showcase that you can utilize Microsoft Teams no matter what you are utilizing. So whether it's the web browser, whether you're using the desktop downloadable application, or whether you're utilizing the mobile Android or iOS apps, you always have access to the wide variety of features, no matter what platform you're utilizing it on. Otherwise, to jump into some of the basic navigation of what we see right here, on the left-hand side, this is going to be that menu bar where you're going to navigate through the different sections of MS Teams. Starting off with activity, just to get a pulse check of all the different ways individuals within your organization might be reaching out to you. You have your chat section, which is that one-to-one or one-to-few conversation piece where you're collaborating with your colleagues, maybe having a conversation or working on a document. You have your teams and their channels, and this is that group collaboration space. I like to think of it as a potluck of information, if you will. We have your calendar, which shows your week's worth of different Teams meetings and normal appointments and events. You can manage and schedule them out through here. Otherwise, we have calls to manage your contacts, the Files tab to give you an easy filing cabinet full of all the documents you shuffle through when utilizing Microsoft Teams, and a search bar near the top to search for anything that we actually utilize within these spaces here. Now, before we dive into it, let's look at our profile icon near the top right-hand side and go through some of the different settings that we might manage and the different notifications that we might get from these sections.
And Ian, while you're looking at settings, it would be great if you could zoom in just a little bit. We did have a request to make the font a little bit bigger, so thanks for stepping into that.
Yeah, no problem. And sorry about that, everyone. Hopefully that makes it a little bit easier to see right there. Alrighty. So as we were going through on the top right-hand side, we see our initials. Now, the initials is just the default for your name. I am playing Tom Hardy today. No, not the great actor. I'm sorry. I'm not him. However, I can pretend to be just for this hour and a half. However, if you would like to go ahead and change your picture, selecting change picture right there will allow you to upload a new one or remove it altogether. Right below that, you do have your availability, where you can go to manage your standard available, your busy and do not disturb, and then your be right back and away. Now, Microsoft Teams does assist you in auto managing this, depending on if you're in a meeting or away from your keyboard, but you can always manually select it and change it via that section there. Right below that, we have our status message. This is going to be where you can set an out of office message just like you're out of office in Outlook, or even just say, hey, I'm going on lunch, for example. You can have it message and notify members of your status whenever they message you. And this is to make sure that in case they're not necessarily going out of their way to look at your status message, even at a glance, they can know exactly what's going on. And a really cool feature about all this is you can actually have it clear out your status message after a certain amount of time. If you're anything like me, you tend to forget after the hour or the week you're on vacation to go back in and remove it. So setting a custom amount of time or even one of these presets makes it a lot easier for you to jump back into your workload without having to remember these little details and to reset them. Below that, we have our settings. And the first options we get are our theme options and our language options. You can cycle through your default dark and high contrast, And there's over 150 plus language options available for you. So definitely go through and select whichever ones you are most comfortable with. Next up, we have privacy. And this is going to plug into a lot of what we're going to talk about today. First off, we have Do Not Disturb Priority Access List. Do Not Disturb being one of those availabilities we can select. Now, if you are on Do Not Disturb, what this will actually do is stop all notifications from coming through. That way you don't get disturbed, essentially. Now, when you are going through this Manage Priority Access List, what this allows you to do is add certain individuals as a part of this group and almost think of it like a VIP list. So if I were to add, let's say, Adam here, which is being played by Allie today, this will make it to where whenever Adam messages me, even if I'm on that Do Not Disturb notification block, it'll allow that notification through so I can continue to see that information. This could be for your direct higher ups, it could be for a specific member in your team, you name it, but you can manage that just to make sure. Otherwise, we have read receipts. Read receipts is an option that a lot of us are probably already used to. It's a feature that allows us to be notified whenever the recipient of a message that we sent out actually views and reads the message. Now, it'll notify this by putting a little eye icon near the bottom right-hand side of the message, so that instead of having to wait to see if they even receive the message, I know when they read it, and I'm just waiting for a reply. Next up, we have our notifications. And within the notification section, this is where you actually manage how you're notified within the different aspects of Teams. Whether someone's specifically mentioning you or a group you're included in, or someone's replying to a conversation, or just reacts to one of your messages, you have a lot of different options to choose from. Now, by default, you'll probably be on banner and email or a banner. Now, a banner is just going to be a little pop-up on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. And banner and email will still keep the banner, but send you an email with a recap of all the different messages you might have missed throughout your day. Otherwise, you can show only in feed, which will keep the respective notifications within their own section of Teams. And then lastly, if you don't want to be notified at all, you can turn it off altogether and not receive any notifications. I'm going to keep it to at least banner. And then from here, we can go ahead and close it out and move on to the chat section. Now, the reason why we're going to start in chat is because as we go through this training, we're going to be talking about different ways we can work on a project team and create a collaboration space within the team section and actually create different locations for our team to work on, sectioning them off within their own each individual's channels and so on. But to kind of understand how that works, makes it easier to understand how a chat works. Starting off with some navigation, on the left-hand side, we have our different message groups and individual messages. And on the right-hand side, we have our actual message history. Now let's say we want to go ahead and start our own new conversation. We can go to the top left-hand side and select this icon right here to start a new chat. Now from here, all I have to do is start typing in the names of the individuals I want to jump into a conversation with. So if it's going to be a group chat, for example, let me just type in a few names here. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Oh, as you can see there, I clicked enter one too many times. But ultimately, all I did was just type in a few members. I see John there, John McCannon. But as you type them in, you'll notice it allows you to continue to add more people. This just jumps into creating a group chat, just like we would see the A team or one of these other project teams we have listed in. Otherwise, we can just type in one individual's name, for example, Adam, and that'll go ahead and jump into a private chat with that individual. So I can go in here and say, good morning, Adam, and send this out to go ahead and reach out to Adam specifically. Now, once again, this is going to be that smaller group conversation. So once again, in this situation, just to Adam, or it could be a group topic. But we see Adam went ahead and responded and said, hey, Tom, we can see he's typing back, letting us know that he is responding to us. But let's say, for example, we want to reach out to Adam to ask him for some help with a document. Now, we don't necessarily just want to type out a simple message like we did before. Maybe we want to get a little bit more in the nitty-gritty, have a little more features to format this message. To do that, we can select the A icon right here and open up and expand out those different formatting options. I'm just going to go ahead and increase the font size just to go ahead and emphasize how much help I really need. And I'm going to say, do you have some time, if I can type today, to assist with this document? From here, I can go to the next icon, which is set delivery options. And this is so I can actually set the importance or urgency of this message. Now, urgent will go ahead and notify the recipient every 2 minutes for 20 minutes. So you definitely want to be a little bit careful on that one, as that one would be more of the emergency situations. However, for now, we can set it as important, which is just like setting an email as important as well. To the right of that, we have our paperclip icon. And that's so we can actually jump in to attaching a document. Now, let's say, for example, we want to plan with Adam creating a new team later on, and we want his help with kind of setting up the documents we're going to share with this group. We can either upload from our OneDrive cloud storage or upload from my local computer. Selecting that, I'm just going to go ahead and go to some of my demo documents. And let's say we want to go ahead and get some help with our sales invoice template. I can go ahead and select that document to open it up. See if we can go ahead and attach that in here. Looks like it's not wanting to attach right now. It's okay. But anyway, once we go ahead and attach that, that'll allow us to send it out so that we can jump into editing the document. Now let's see, for example, maybe we might have one in one of these other group chats we can show as an example. Perfect. This will actually work right here. We have a PowerPoint. One thing that I can do is get the link as well and share it out. But once a document is actually shared out, so let's try this one more time. Let's see if I can attach a document. Let's see, go into my documents. Let's see if we can do one of these other. Nope. In general, not wanting to upload on my end. No problem though. Anyway, going back to this, let's say a document is already shared out, just like we have right here. We have this PowerPoint shared out. What we can do from here is select it within the conversation space and jump right into editing and working on this document within the chat section. Now, once the document is actually shared out, what this will do is go ahead and allow us to co-author and work on this document at the exact same time as the individuals within the chat as well. So as you can see, we can go in here, start making any edits we want, once again within the Teams application. And if anybody else were to join into this edit, their little icon will pop up next to the comment section, and we'll actually see where their cursor is. Just like we have a dedicated flashing icon there, they will too. It'll be color coded with their initials right next to it so that we know that it's labeled for them. Otherwise, we can go ahead and, like I mentioned, co-author, make our edits, and cycle through this at the exact same time as each other. And let's say we need to leave some comments for one another. just in case we aren't on the document at the same time, or we want to share information to other members jumping in. To leave comments, we can highlight some text and click on the comments button near the top right-hand side. From here, it's as easy as making a new comment and maybe saying, let's say, should we decrease the font size? From there, anybody can come in here, either make the change or reply to the actual conversation. And if everything is good to go, selecting the 3 dots and resolving, editing, or deleting the thread, we'll go ahead and complete it out. Once we're done, however, and we're finished editing it, selecting close at the top right-hand side will go ahead and bring us directly back to that conversation piece within chat, further allowing us to continue the conversation or even jump through any of these other groups or group chats that we have going on. Another thing you can manage within this space, for example, let's say we are creating this group chat here. I'll say hello team to start the conversation. On the top right-hand side, you'll notice 2 ad hoc video and audio buttons. Now this is to jump into either a video or an audio call with the group or the individual. And this will jump straight into opening that meeting experience, as you can see there. Otherwise, to the right of that, we'll see how many people are actually participating in this group. This menu gives us the ability to not only highlight over the individuals and maybe remove them from the group or even leave ourselves, but additionally, we can add additional people with a couple extra features right here. So let's say, for example, we're inviting Nestor. But before we add him, we know, hey, there was some confidential information that was shared out, I want to say about a week ago, and we don't necessarily want Nestor to see that, as we only want him to see the newer information that pertains towards why we're adding him into the conversation. We can go ahead and not include any chat history, or maybe only include chat history from the X amount of days, and we'll say 3 in this situation. Once we add him in, that will go ahead and apply those policies to the individual, and he can start typing in and having the conversation with us. Otherwise, we can also name this group by going up to the very top and going to that pen icon next to each name. Once selected, it'll allow you to create a group name, and maybe we want to call this Project Dancing Penguin Setup. Or let's say prep. And there you go. Now we have a dedicated name for our group chat. Now there's a lot of different ways you can manage these conversations. However, like I mentioned earlier on, a lot of those collaborations where you're going to work in those larger group environments and actually share and collaborate different pieces of information is actually going to be within the Teams section of the application. So I actually want to go ahead and cycle over and start talking about Teams a bit more. Now, before I do, let's go ahead and pause and let me ask Allie, do we have any questions in the Q&A so far based around chat that we want to go ahead and highlight?
Not necessarily based on chat yet, Ian. We did have a question about the notifications and how if you turn on email notifications, those go into the groups folder in Outlook. And if that was not something you manually set up, then that is something that is just automatically happening. But if someone else would like to set that up, you can easily go ahead and create a rule using Outlook to control where those email notifications go. But other than that, we should be good to go, Ian.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And alrighty. So we can go ahead and jump on into our conversation here, or jump on into the team section. And let's go ahead and start off by going over the difference between what a team is and what a chat is, and maybe some of the differences between the two. I'm going to go ahead and minimize some of these. And I'm going to use, let's say, the Avengers as an example. So the example of the comparison I like to give is think of a team kind of like a house. Now, as I expand out this team, we'll see focus conversations, or as they're called, channels, right below it. And think of these channels kind of like the rooms inside of that house. Now, to kind of follow along with this analogy, you wouldn't necessarily put your toilet in your kitchen channel. And vice versa, you wouldn't put your refrigerator in your bathroom channel. Now, following along with this allows you to further understand that these conversations, these channels are meant to focus in the conversation. So finance and anything having to do with finance stays within the finance channel. If the leadership team has something to talk about, they would put it within the leadership team. Or let's say you're working on Panda Project. That conversation wouldn't be in the Avengers. You go to Panda Project and find the corresponding channel that pertains to the conversation. So these teams and the channels further allow you to organize the information, unlike we see in chat, where, as we mentioned, chat is that smaller group collaboration, whereas with teams, a lot of people can be invited, and everybody who's invited will automatically get access to all the information shared and collaborated with within this space. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do next is let's go ahead and dive into the creation of a team and what it might look like, what we might create one for as an example. I'm going to go ahead and minimize these ones here and go to the bottom left-hand side to join or create a team. Now, upon selecting that, we're going to see a few options here. We see a couple public teams here, so teams, champions, and newsletter ninjas. If we would like to jump into any one of these options, it's as easy as clicking the join team button. And then, as you can see, it'll automatically add it to the conversation or to the teams list on the left-hand side, allowing you to easily jump into whatever it was going on. Otherwise, going back to join or create teams, as these were public ones available to join, if it is being distributed via a code, you can also join in that way. However, if you are creating your own, clicking create a team on the left-hand side will jump into the creation experience. Now from here, we're introduced with two different options. The one on the bottom is to create from an existing Microsoft 365 group or team. Now this can be an internal team or group that was created on the back end, or if you already have a team that's created and you just want to make a carbon copy of it, allowing you to keep some of the content or maybe even some of the users itself, so that makes it easy for you to go forward, you can do that. Otherwise, we're going to select for now, build a team from scratch. And just like before, we're introduced with two different options, or just like before I talked about, we have a private and a public option. Now that public option is going to be just like the newsletter ninjas I mentioned earlier. That's going to be a public team open in this site for anybody to select and join in. Otherwise, you can also create a private team, and that's just for you and the users that you invite. Now, people are able to request to join. However, those who are joining in and those you can invite are only managed by the owners of the team itself. And we'll get into what that means in just a second here. Otherwise, The team we're creating is going to be open for our organization, so we're going to make it a public one. From here, we are able to give it a team name. So let's go ahead and let's give it a team name. Now, we were having a chat conversation earlier about the Project Dancing Penguin preparation. So let's say this is going to be the team for that. Let's say this is the team to talk about a new project we're working on called Project Dancing Penguin. From here, we can add in a description. New team project, looking for team members to help. And then we can go ahead and create it. From here, it'll go ahead and give you a little bit of hype and say, nice work, you're on the right track. And then jump right into allowing you to add members. Now, as we mentioned, this is going to be public, so anybody can join. However, this is allowing you to invite those specific people to start off with. Or maybe you know of specific people that are going to be helping you out. All you need to do is start typing in their name here, as it will pull from your organization. Just add in a few members here. So Joanna, let's say, sure, Abby, there we go. And then we can go ahead and add them all in. Now from here, we can change each individual user between a member and an owner. Now members, you can manage what members can do, what members can't do, but owners will have full access towards all the files and information within the space. And it is best practice to set at least 1 or 2 additional owners other than yourself, just in case you need a change made. Maybe you're on vacation enjoying your Mai Tai, or maybe you're being safe and you're quarantining and you're inside, but you're just trying to have a staycation and you need another owner to take care of whatever it is. They can reach out to one of the other individuals to get the job done. Otherwise, clicking close will add everybody in. And as we see on the left-hand side, now we have Project Dancing Penguin with our default general channel. Now from here, this is where we start creating those channels to help focus in the conversation. So for example, we're going to click on this. Let's go ahead and click add a channel to add a new channel. And then we can start giving this a channel name. I'm going to go ahead and just name this management. We can add a description if necessary, or even change the privacy settings between a standard channel, which anybody can see, or a private channel, locked down to just those individuals that you invite. Now this is for management, so we don't want everybody seeing the conversation. So we'll go and click on next and start inviting those who are part of the management team. Now I believe I set Adam as one of the owners, as well as Joanna, so I can add them in and even continue to make them owners of this as well, just in case we want them to make channel-specific changes. Now from here, we can continue to make additional channels, once again, for each section of this project or organization, whatever it is. So maybe we have a, I don't know, research and development section, an R&D part of this. So research and development. We can keep that to standard, as that's going to be open for everybody. And maybe we have a channel for go-to-market plan for the team to work on how we're going to launch this program off to the rest of the market. As you can see, the team is already taken shape. We already have those dedicated conversations, some of which are already private, and we already have some of our members talking about it. And Adam, I can't talk. Adam is saying this is a great place for our managers to chat. How do you think this project is going? Now, the next thing that we see here that makes a difference between chat is unlike chat, where it just has the conversation going down a list, where each reply is separate from the next, and it goes in order of when it's sent out. You'll notice we now have a dedicated reply option, in which case we can select it there. And we can actually reply directly to the post that was made. I can say to Adam, going great so far, can't wait to get more team members added in to help. And I can go ahead and send that out. And you'll notice the reply is directly connected. And that is because Microsoft Teams in their channels uses what's called containerized messaging. We might see some more of that as we go into some of these other conversations where we can expand all the replies and see everything that was directly connected to the original post and the context behind it. Now from here, as we can see, Adam just reacted to our comment and said, love to hear it. So let's go ahead and show you actually how he did that. If you would like to react to a message, all you need to do is highlight over the message that you want to react to, and you'll see some messages pop up, or some emojis, I should say. From here, you can select any one of these options. I'll heart react. And just like that, it attaches the reaction. If you want to agree with reaction, all you actually need to do is select the one that they put in, and it'll add you towards that reaction list. Otherwise, since we just created this project team, let's go ahead and make an announcement letting everybody know that we're going to start on some of that work and maybe schedule a meeting for that first time connect. We can go down here to start a new conversation. And just like we did in chat, we can select this A icon to open up further formatting options. Now from here, we notice a couple extra buttons or extra features we didn't see over in chat, such as being able to now add a subject, or even changing this from a normal conversation to a dedicated announcement. Now, as we mentioned, we're going to go ahead and make an announcement to talk about a meeting we're going to schedule to kick off this project team that we're sending out. So I think it is best to make this an announcement. And then as you can see, it'll give us a dedicated headline section and convert the subject to a subhead. Up in this headline, we can go ahead and change the color itself, or even upload a custom background if maybe there's a company banner or background photo we want to add in. Otherwise, in here, we're going to go ahead and say new project kickoff call. Will be scheduled later today. And I'm going to go ahead and say, please react with a thumbs up if you're able to join. Now from here, we can probably just call it quits and go ahead and send this out, but I like to go ahead and add a little bit more detail to the message to make sure we get our point across. Just like we did in chat, we can mark this as important by selecting the mark as important icon right here, or even attach a document, just like we did before, by selecting this paperclip icon, and either uploading from a recent document we've worked on, or maybe even browse from another team, or OneDrive cloud storage or local device file that we have on our computer. I'm going to go ahead and just select newsletter template, for example, and go ahead and upload a copy. As you can see, it'll go ahead and attach itself to this document so that when we go ahead and send it out, everybody in this team will be able to see it. Otherwise, to the right of that, we also have some emoji, GIF, and sticker options. Now, this is to go ahead and add some pizzazz, if you will, add some excitement or energy to the message. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's see, new team. You can search something in. There we go. Find the GIF you want and send it out. Just like that, we officially sent out our new project kickoff call announcement in the general channel. And now everybody invited to this team will see it. And already Adam gave us a thumbs up, letting us know that he's able to join on in. Perfect. From here, let's go ahead and jump into setting further up this actual team. And then we can jump into setting up the meeting that we were talking about right here. A couple other things you can do within the team to set it up for success is, let's say, once again, we're creating this new Dancing Penguin project team, and we attach this document for our team to work on or prep on before we have our meeting. However, what if this document itself gets lost in the conversation? Or what if it's hard for people to find? Well, there's a couple ways for us to manage this. First off, next to the Post tab, we have a dedicated file section. Now, this is so we can keep an eye on all the different documents that is shared out, who is last to modify it, or even whether we want to go ahead and change any of the information. Now, just like we saw in chat, it's super easy to start the collaboration process with this document, as all we need to do is either select it within the conversation or even click on it while in the Files tab. Right away, we can jump directly into editing the document right here within the application. And same as before, as long as anybody else wants to edit with us, they can do the same thing and jump into this document at the exact same time. A couple other things we can do inside here is create a new document or folder, or even upload documents directly to this team. Now, let's say, for example, we have this document set up and uploaded, but we want to make it as easy as possible to access it. Maybe we don't want them to go to the Files tab every single time, as we have a lot of documents in here and it might be in a subfolder. The next easiest way is to add it as a tab. Now, we can do that by going to the plus button right here at the top right-hand side, selecting that, and choosing one of these first-party apps to pin. Now, in this situation, it is a Word document. So let's go ahead and just select the newsletter template. We can have it post to the channel that is created. Otherwise, we can save it. And just like that, we now have a dedicated Word tab near the top. Now we can definitely rename it just so we can specify what the actual document might be. However, just like that, we can select the tab and, same as before, continue to view or work on it. And it was as easy as selecting the tab there. Now, as we saw in here, there's a lot of different options. Let's say, for example, you have a company site you always want access to. Or maybe you want to give quick access to a search engine so that your team doesn't have to leave the application to go to that website. We'll use Bing as an example in this situation. All you have to do is copy the URL from the site and then go ahead, paste it in, and save it as a tab. Now, the cool thing about this right here is not just like any other tab, you can navigate and work on this within Teams, but with the web browser, we can continue to cycle through the different prompts and pages of the website without having to leave. Some other options you might use, for example, might be Planner. Let's say you're creating this project team and you want to go ahead and create a plan. Let's create a new plan for Project Dancing Penguin. But you want to go ahead and create this planner to assign different tasks to different individuals. Let's say we want to go ahead and assign a task to our management team to prepare R&D content. We can set the due date for, let's say, end of day Friday, and then assign it to any of the individuals within this team. Let's say I want to assign it to Adam, as he's one of our members on the management team, or even Joanna, since she's on there too. And then from here, I can add in the task. Just like that, that's the task there. And I can even add in a bucket depending on what it is. So maybe this one is just for R&D. This one is for go to market. And I can go ahead and drag this between each one. Since this one is meant to be R&D, there you go. Now, in case anybody wants to see what they're assigned, they can go to the planner up at the top, find whichever assignment they're assigned to, and view any information we might have for them. And once it's finished, check it off and complete it. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can utilize these applications, so definitely scroll through and figure out what works best for you. But that's just a few examples of how you might utilize these documents. Now from here, let's go ahead and talk about scheduling that kickoff call that we made the announcement about, as it does go ahead and push us more towards that calendar and meeting section of the training.
And Ian, before we actually get into scheduling a meeting, if I can just showcase one thing as teams, we received a couple questions specifically about settings. So one of the questions was how to delete a team, and I mentioned that it can be found under the 3 dots. So I would love if you can just showcase that drop down for the 3 dots, and that's where you would be able to delete the team. We also received, yes, and you do have to go through and confirm it like Ian showcased, so it is a little challenging to accidentally delete it. Another question found within that 3 dots is how to add a logo or update that picture. And using those 3 dots, you can go into Manage Team, head over into your settings or click up there. And either option will allow you to upload a picture to that. So that's just another way to customize your team. Now we should be good to go, but just wanted to highlight those before we moved into scheduling, Ian. Thanks for stopping.
Yeah, no problem. I was actually going to pause and see if there's any questions, so you got me right at the right time. I'm going to assume there's no other questions in the Q&A that we want to highlight, and we're all set to go forward.
We are all set to go. Sorry, I just got too excited to answer them.
You're good. Hey, I don't blame you. Sometimes we get a lot of good questions. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and let's jump into the rest or the next part of the training, which is going to be to talk about scheduling your meetings. Now, before we talk about scheduling a meeting for this team and channel, let's jump into Calendar and just talk about how scheduling works and what it looks like. First off, it looks like my calendar's fairly empty. Tom Hardy cannot manage his calendar very well. That being said, let's go ahead and see if we can fill this up for him. So if there were any events on our calendar, they will pop up with their own dedicated bubble, giving us an idea of what the event is and who scheduled it. Otherwise, we can cycle through the date and the different area or weeks that we're viewing. As we can see, we had a meeting last week, Wednesday. And to actually create a meeting, it's super simple. All we need to do is either select one of the boxes within this blank space here, or select the new meeting option near the top right-hand side. Now selecting that, that'll jump right into the creation of a meeting. First off, giving us the ability to give it a title. So for now, let's just say this is going to be a touch base for Joanna. And then below that, we can start adding in attendees. So of course, it's a touch base for Joanna, so we have to add in Joanna. Otherwise, we can add optional attendees as well. Now, this is just letting them know, for example, Adam, that they don't necessarily have to join. However, if they are able to, they are invited. Right below there, we can change the date and the time of the meeting, or even set it for all day. Otherwise, right below that, you'll notice we have some suggested times. And what this does is look at everybody's calendar, or those who are invited at least. It'll compare everybody's events and try to find a time that fits so that it doesn't interact or doesn't accidentally come in conflict with any other meetings you have scheduled. Otherwise, if you want to see a more visual representation of what this means, you can go up to the Scheduling Assistant button to view that direct comparison. Now, for example, let's say we select right here, 1 o'clock today. We'll see that Joanne is available. Since Tom Hardy doesn't have anything on his calendar, he is going to be, for the most part, unknown. But Adam is, in fact, unavailable. Now, as we click through here, you'll notice it does change. Now Adam's available, Joanne is tentative, available, tentative, you name it, as long as their calendar is filled up. You might not necessarily see what they're doing, but you will be able to at least make sure you don't conflict with it. Once you have a time that fits good or well with everybody else, you can jump straight into sending out the meeting, or go back to the details to continue your edits. You are able to repeat the meeting or add in a channel based off of one of those different teams we've created. Add a location if maybe there's a specific conference room that you're working out of, or any other additional details you would like to add. Otherwise, once your meeting is scheduled and ready to go, all you need to do is select send. And just like that, it's added to your calendar. Now, all we have to do is select it. Since we are the organizer, we can continue to make our edits. Otherwise, we can just join on in via the join button at the top right-hand side, or via one of these join options right here, as we do have a join in link, or even a dial in number in case we want to call in. Now, we're not necessarily going to join in this one, as this is just to get used to creating a meeting. So let's go ahead and show you what it's like to create a meeting for your project team. So we told Project Dancing Penguin here to get ready and be prepared for a scheduled meeting later today, as we will have a call that we're scheduling. And we can do that and schedule a meeting for this group or for this channel by going to the dedicated channel we want to host it in this situation, the general channel, to make sure that everybody can see it. And we're going to go to the Meet button near the top right-hand side. Now, specifically, we are going to click the drop-down arrow to schedule a meeting, as Meet Now will go ahead and just jump straight into calling everybody. However, upon clicking Schedule a Meeting, you'll notice it brings us back to this page that we're now comfortable with. Same options, add in a title. So, Project Dancing Penguin kickoff call. And the cool thing about all this is we don't actually have to add attendees, as it automatically adds all the users from that channel that we're creating it in as invitees of this actual call, with a couple extra cool features attached to it. As always, we can change the time. So let's go ahead and adjust it to, let's say, 3 p.m. Once again, using Scheduling Assistant in case we want to go ahead and verify. Otherwise, we can go ahead and send this out. As you can see here, it creates the meeting and dedicates its own post within the chat itself. Now from here, maybe we want to make sure that the entire team is notified, as depending on their notification settings, they might not necessarily have this turned on, as maybe they have the general channel turned off and maybe one of these on. Everybody has different notification settings. What we can do is reply to this message and @mention the group. Now, @mentioning makes it super simple to specifically call somebody in, or maybe to mention, hey, we're trying to reach out to you, just by typing in the @ symbol and typing in somebody's name. So if I type in, once again, I don't know, @mention Joanna, we can go ahead and reach out to Joanna. Otherwise, we can @mention anybody else. So Adam, there we go, Adam. Now, specifically, we want to @mention the team. And that's where it gets really cool. So typing in the @ symbol, it allows us to type in the team name now. So we can type in Project Dancing Penguin. And just like that, when I send this out, that'll specifically mention and let everybody know within their activity bell that I am reaching out to this group. And as we see here, it is a specific @mention for the group. Now, if you want to jump into this meeting, it's super simple. All we need to do is either go to our calendar and select the meeting invite there, or since we're in the general channel itself, we can just select it right here within the chat and join in from here. Now, the first thing to introduce you with is going to be this lobby. And this gives you the opportunity to turn on and off your camera or to mute or unmute your microphone before joining in. Now, it is best practice to mute yourself before joining in a meeting, as I'm sure we've all experienced those times where you join into the meeting and you have this screeching noise just yelling at you and you don't know where it's coming from. Usually it's caused by microphone feedback or audio looping, so muting before you join in and then managing it after the fact definitely makes things easier. However, for now, we're just going to go ahead and join on in. Now we are waiting for others. I don't know. I was secretly promised by Adam. Oh, Adam's here. I was complaining for no reason. We're good. I appreciate Adam for joining on in. Thank you, Adam, for joining. So it'll go ahead and let us know who's in the meeting and even section it off or split it depending on how many people are here. And as we can see, Adam replied to our message and put it in the chat, which we'll highlight in just a moment here. As we're going through the meeting, we have this menu bar at the bottom, and that's to either turn on and off our camera or mute and unmute our microphone, or even utilize the share tray to share our screen. Now we have a lot of different options here. If we want to share a screen, we can either share our entire window, so everything on our display and every pop-up that comes up. We can share a specific window if we just want to make sure that that's shared and nothing else, no pop-up, no other windows. Otherwise, we can even share a specific tab within our web browser, since we are doing this through the web. To the right of that, you have more options. And this gives us a few different features here as well. We can show device settings to manage and change the different hardware we're utilizing, whether it's a different camera, microphone, or headset. Or even go through and change some of our meeting notes. As we're going through this meeting, let's say, once again, this is our kickoff call. And maybe there's some key highlights or pointers that Adam or somebody mentioned. And I go, hey, I'm probably going to forget that, but let's go ahead and add it into the meeting notes so that we can revert back to them another time. We can go in here and say, let's say key pointers. Add in a dedicated channel for project additions and new members, just for an example. Now, each member of this call can go in here and add in their own section, maybe even label it. So maybe this one's for Adam S. This one's for me. But as you can see, you can make dedicated note sections for each individual person to go in and take their notes for the meeting. Under more actions, we also have a show meeting details option to view the join in info or dial in information once more. And lastly on the list, we can even record our session. Now, upon starting the recording, it will notify everyone in the call via a pop-up banner near the top, just letting you know for privacy reasons that it is being recorded. Otherwise, once the meeting is officially over and everybody leaves, or you just want to stop the recording, you can go back to more actions and stop the recording. After that, it does allow you to go back and watch the recording in the chat, but we'll highlight that in just a moment here. Next up, we have our raise your hand option, which is actually a newer feature we've added into Teams. This lets you virtually raise your hand, letting everybody in the call know that you have a question or maybe something to add to the conversation without you necessarily having to come off of mute and maybe interrupt whoever the presenter is. Next up, we have show conversation. And we can see Adam's laughing at us, always happy to see. Otherwise, we can go through and view any other conversations, at mentions, or as you can see, notes or meeting information, as it's all posted within the dedicated chat section. I can even go in here and continue the conversation and say, thank you, Adam, for joining in. There we go. The message is sent out, and we still have all the same abilities to upload a file. So once again, let's say we want to upload this PowerPoint document we want to work on and collaborate on within this call. Or maybe upload and go through the additional formatting options. Once again, it's all the same and all available within this space. To the right of the conversations button, we have the show participants option. Selecting that will go ahead and show everybody who's invited but not joined in yet, giving us the ability to select the three dots and request that they join. And for those who are joined in, we can select the three dots next to their name, mute them if maybe they are unmuted, or maybe even lower their hand if they forgot to lower their hand after raising it. Additionally, if you do have 3 or more members within the meeting, you'll get an additional button here that says mute all members. And that is because normal meetings can support 350 around their members, and so it gets a little bit difficult to individually mute all those members when they're joined in. One easy click will mute everybody except for yourself so that you can continue showcasing your presentation or whatever it is without an interruption. However, once we're all done with the meeting, we can close this out and hang up via this icon right here. Now, you won't always get this menu here, but this sometimes will pop up to ask you the call quality. Otherwise, we can go ahead and go back into our team. Now, as you can see here, we still see that the meeting is going on for those who have not joined in yet. We see that Adam is still in there and it's been going on for about 7 minutes, and we get a quick join in button. Otherwise, what's really cool about all this is we now see 6 replies within this conversation and a paperclip icon letting us know at a glance that a document was shared. As we expand this out, we'll see everything that happened within this conversation. Every document, every message that was sent out, even the notes and recording. And as we see at the very top, we now have a new dedicated meeting notes tab, just in case we want to quickly and easily select and go through the different sections of the notes we took. Once again, this makes it very easy to keep everything organized and contained within one conversation so that I can go ahead and continue the next conversation without it getting confused and mixed in with all of this other content. Perfect, everybody. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up to a Q&A and ask Allie, do we have any questions in the Q&A that we should highlight?
Yes, thanks, Ian. So we did have a few different questions. One was that calendar invite, did it go to everyone's Outlook calendar as well? Yes, it did go to everyone's Outlook calendar, as well as they received an Outlook email about it. We did have someone ask for additional details about Planner. We do just go over a high-level overview in this session, but we do have another training on app integration next Thursday. You can also view any of our previously recorded trainings on that link that Abby shared in our Q&A that's been published. We also had a question specifically about recording and what to do if you don't want to be recorded. At this time, there's no way to opt out from being recorded if a meeting is being recorded, so we recommend communicating that with your group, as it will record everything in the meeting. It does make it very clear when the recording is starting, so you can exit the meeting or request that it stopped if needed. We did have the follow-up question to that was, what sort of file type is the recording? And Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's an MP4.
Yeah, I believe you are correct. And we can actually verify that or even jump into some of those specific options here in a moment as well. But yes, I believe it is MP4.
Great, thank you, Ian. Yeah, that would be great if we could jump in and just showcase that in a minute. And then we did have a question about, can you mute all except for a pre-identified presenter? So I don't believe you can auto mute all in a meeting, but if you could go back into that meeting and show where you would be able to mute participants individually and using that that mute all feature rather than starting from the beginning. I know that answer was a little bit complicated, so I think it'll be a little bit more clear when Ian shows it.
Yes, and one thing I want to highlight as well is, as you're joining into this meeting, let's say, for example, we're joining into this Project Dancing Penguin kickoff call. I love saying that long name every single time. If there are, I believe it's after like 5 to 7 people. Once there is about that many people in the group, as you join in, instead of automatically unmuting, it'll actually pop a message up saying, hey, there's already a lot of people in this meeting. We're going to recommend you mute yourself before joining in. So in a way, as long as there's a lot of people in there, or at least a few, teams will try to manage it and auto mute. That being said, they can unmute themselves if they want by choice before they join in. Alternatively, if you are in the meeting and you do want to mute individuals or utilize that mute all feature, you can go to show participants. Next to each individual icon, you will see that their microphone is muted. However, if it is unmuted, you won't see that line going through the mic. You can select the 3 dots and select the mute participant button. Now, although we can mute, as you can see, we cannot unmute for privacy reasons. And then for that mute all button, we don't necessarily see it here as it's only available if your meeting has 3 or more members joined in. However, right here to the right of the currently in this meeting button, that is where you will see the mute all feature. Just a simple button. Clicking on that will mute everybody except for yourself as the person who clicked on it. And it's as easy as that. Jumps right into muting everybody. Hopefully that kind of answers the question.
I think so. Thanks, Ian.
Perfect. Any other questions we should highlight?
We had another question. If you add a document and changes are made, do they update all records automatically?
Yes. So like I mentioned, the cool thing about posting different, documents in any of these spaces, chat or Teams, is that it'll automatically upload it to the cloud and share it with the individuals in that group. Because it is hosted on the cloud, anybody can jump in there, make those edits, make those changes, and it'll automatically save to the original document. Now, don't worry, if you are trying to manage it and make sure that some changes are made and protect it from bad changes or deleting, there are version history options and abilities to manage the permissions on the backend. However, makes it super simple. It does autosave and it does allow co-authoring at the same time.
Great, thank you, Ian. And then we also got a question, can I pin a participant? And the answer is yes, it should be in those same 3 dots where you would go to adjust any other settings.
Yeah, I'll showcase that really quickly. So you can do undershow participants, or if they are already in the meeting as well. So clicking on, oh, well, Adam's gone. Sorry about that. No, I'm just joking. But if you click on their person's name, if they're joined in, there will be a pin button. And if they're joined into the meeting, there's even a 3 dots next to their user's name, in which case you can select and pin their video, and it'll go ahead and make it the main video you see. Oh, there we go. Adam's joined in. So once again, 3 dots, pin. Otherwise, 3 dots in the participants panel, pin or unpin. Just like that. Alrighty. So I do definitely want to go into some of the meeting recording options before we close it out. However, Ali, was there anything else you wanted to highlight?
I think we are good to move into that recording piece. Thank you, Ian.
Perfect, thank you. So as we close it out, let's go ahead and look at this meeting recording and then leave you off with some final different features and resources. So as you can see here, we have the meeting recording. Now, if you want to watch it, it's as simple as selecting it and clicking on it within this space. It'll open it up and we can play it within Teams. Now, this meeting recording will automatically be shared out with all the individuals invited to the actual meeting. Now, if we select these 3 dots, we have the option to open it up within Microsoft Stream. Microsoft Stream being the actual site or application that hosts all of Microsoft's internal recordings. As you can see here, it'll go ahead and open up this page, allowing us to view, share, or make any comments on. Additionally, though, by selecting the 3 dots right below it, you are able to download the video. And as you can see there, it downloads it as an MP4 file, just like we showcased earlier. Alrighty. Well, that was a short showcase. That was just to show you how you can view the meeting. You can also share it by selecting these 3 dots and getting the link, or even clicking the share button here to auto share it out with everybody in your organization. Otherwise, one of the final things I want to go ahead and leave you all with is this help section near the bottom left-hand side. Now, as we went through this training today, we highlighted a lot of different content, and I don't necessarily expect you all to memorize or remember every little thing. However, if you would like to go back and maybe learn some information that we highlighted today, or maybe something that we didn't go over, you can select the Help section at the bottom left-hand side, and we have a bunch of different features here to assist you. Whether it's learning how to manage your files, meetings and calls, or anything else, troubleshooting settings, you name it, a bunch of different resources to assist you to learn how to either utilize or activate a certain feature. Otherwise, that does go ahead and slowly conclude our training. I'm just going to check one more time. Do we have anything we wanted to highlight before we close it out, Allie?
Nothing else in the Q&A, but I did want to share that I will be posting a survey in the published section of our Q&A chat. So please take a minute to fill out the survey. We're always interested in what you're interested in learning more about. So please take a minute to share your thoughts. We would greatly appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody who is going to put that in. We're really excited and happy to do these showcases for you, and we're really interested to see what else you guys are all interested in learning. Otherwise, to slowly close this out, I'll be leaving you guys off with some final resources here. Brianna being part of our team who's in charge of all of our corporate trainings and planning. Assisting her is Allie. And Allie's also assisting us with all of our workshops and community events, so feel free to go to this website here to view our calendar. Otherwise, for all of our device sales and cloud solutions, we have David. However, to close it all out, I want to thank you all once more for joining in today. It was a pleasure training you all, and I hope you all have an amazing day. And if I don't see you tomorrow, an amazing weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.